TruckDriver101.com. Hello, this is Big Ken. Now we gonna get straight down to business. Now I gotta ask, how do I feel about husband and wife teams? Husband and wife teams can be some of the toughest things to do on the road. If I were you, what I would do is I would go out on the road as the husband. I would go out on the road. I would learn how to drive, and then I would get to the point where I could train, and then I would train my wife. That's the best way for you and your wife to get into trucking. That way, when she gets into trucking, and a lot of women have to deal with a lot of BS. Not so much on the sexual part. That happens, but not as much as it used to. However, your problem with your wife is you're going to find is the lack of social. You know, a lot of women like to be social. So if I were you, get your wife into Facebook, get your wife a smartphone, all that stuff. Hopefully you already got that stuff like most people do. But it's important to keep that kind of stuff going because you need that kind of stuff, especially women, to keep that kind of social contact because she doesn't just want to talk to you all day. Now, as a man, it's a little easier for you to get into this, and plus 6 months in will give you some knowledge so you can figure out where you and your wife need to go and how you guys need to make money and what companies are going to treat you the best. I'm going to tell you now, Snyder Swift and any first-time employed company is not going to employ you correctly. They just don't use teams that much. I mean, they'll get you some miles. I'm not saying they won't. I'm not saying they can't get you some good money. But they're just not going to be as effective as a company that specializes in teams. They're just not going to be. Also, you're going to find specialty freight will get you a hell of a lot more money running teams. Just-in-time freight that's refrigerated is always going to pay more than dry van freight that's just-in-time. And I guarantee you, if you start car hauling, you and your wife car haul, I mean, you guys could be looking at $250,000 a year if you're an owner-operator, $160,000 a year or more if you're a regular company driver. I'm just telling you what I got from 5 minutes in the truck stop earlier today talking to people. I heard from husband and wives who were running teams who were making $250,000, and they were hauling specialty cars and enclosed car haulers for a company called Allied Transport. And I talked to another couple who was just running regular Warner freight, and they say they make $160,000 a year, and they're just hauling regular freight. I would still, again, company hauling. The guy that I talked to at Allied said that they're an owner-operator company only, right? But they do have occasional openings for teams. So if I were you, you need to create a long-term plan for you and your wife because this may need an endpoint. Also, you need a contingency plan for what happens if this doesn't work out. So that way, if you do the 6 months, you at least know you can do this profession and you can make some money. And maybe your wife doesn't drive that. Maybe she doesn't want to drive, but she just wants to sit around and check out the scenery with you and hang out with you. It's a lot of guys that wives do that. They start out thinking they want to drive and then they don't. They want to go home a little bit and then come on the road with you. All those things, you got to kind of think about what could happen. So you, in the process of both of you be trying to become a truck driver, you may not become a truck driver, but you don't want to get divorced too, right? You don't want to lose your marriage. So that's why I would recommend one of you do the 6 months. That way you have enough experience that you can get your team into a better situation. Because you need to, when you get into trucking as a team, you need to be talking to every team out there, man. You need to find the companies in your area that are using teams to the optimal level. Because you want to get to that $5,000 and $6,000 a week average. I mean, add it up. Let's say when I was a trainer, I made 34 cents a mile, something like that, because I did a specialty account. So when I was making 34 cents a mile times 6,000, right, when I was running with teams with my students, add that up. That's some good money, right? Right? That's usually after that I would make over $1,000 a week. I might make $1,200 a week or $1,100 a week, $1,100 a week. That's what you're going to be. That's what I was looking at doing that. You're going to make a lot more because you and your wife are going to be getting paid half and half. Right. So that's going to be both of you probably making 32 cents a mile, right? Plus 3,000 miles each. Yeah, that might be the way they pay you. Or they may pay you guys in one lump sum. I'm not sure. I imagine owner-operators get paid that way in one lump sum. But, I mean, you guys are going to be looking at 3,000 miles each and probably 32 cents a mile. Okay, starting out, you won't make that. But again, like I said, do the 6 months somewhere, train your wife, and then you guys start looking for a place that runs teams to the optimal level that are averaging 4,000 and 6,000 miles a week. That's what you guys want to get to. And understand, that's 10 hours on the road, you drive, and then 10 hours your wife drives. 10 hours you drive, 10 hours your wife drive. It's going to be stressful, man. You got to have some stress relief. You guys need to plan some great vacations every year. And those vacations need to have some apart time. You know, your wife needs to be able to go get a massage and not see your ugly face. And you need to be able to go get a massage and not see her face. And you guys got to be, you know, able to break apart, still trustworthy, caring about one another, loving one another, and, you know, giving a damn. Like, I don't know if, you know, like I said, I've seen guys cheat out here. I've seen wives cheat on their husbands out here in truck stops. I've seen people getting fights out here, you know, with their spouse. So it's just not worth it if you guys can't get along. But if you guys got one of those stellar relationships, you guys are tight and you give a damn about one another, that's beautiful, man. You know, and you need to take that relationship to the, you know, if you want to take it to the next level, because if you guys got a beautiful relationship, trucking will enhance your relationship. It's going to make everything that's wrong, wronger, and it's going to make everything that's right, righter. You know, it depends on, again, who are you as a person? Are you a strong, I mean, who are you guys together as a couple is what I should say. Are you guys a strong couple that can stay together and keep your bond? Or are you guys, you know, a weak couple that maybe the road would be too much for you? And I think you're going to learn that if you come out here and do those 6 months I talked about. So that's basically it, guys. I gave you some companies to call. I'll check out some other companies and I'll put some links down below. And, you know, you really need, I'm just telling you, you really need to find a company that specializes in teams, because none of the other companies are going to use you to the best of their ability. They're just not going to do it. They just don't have the model built. You know, they're training companies, and that's really what they're built for. Teams, I mean, that's a specialty company. You really want to go to a team company that's doing something, hauling refrigerated or hauling cars or something like that, because you guys can make a boatload of money. And just make sure you plan an end date, a contingency plan for if things don't work out. And you also start looking at, you know, local, you know, somewhat, not local jobs, but jobs that require team driving that may be local to your area. And sometimes you can't find that where, you know, let's say you live in somewhere, like I live in Michigan, so you can drive, say, from Michigan down to, say, you know, Massachusetts, over to Massachusetts, and maybe you got to run where you run back from Massachusetts back to, you know, whatever, you know, DC, which is a dispatch center, or a warehouse, and you run that freight back and forth, you and your wife. Well, if you live in Michigan, that's a heck of a lot less stress, you know, because you're going home, you're going to get by the house maybe once or twice a week. You guys are going to be on some real safe kind of roads, going that kind of route. It's going to be an easy route you guys run every week. Your wife will be very social because she'll be able to get to know people. You'll be able to get to know people. You know, you'll have somebody to bitch about. You know, my wife don't do this, ha, ha, ha. And you'll have restaurants that you guys frequent. That's one of the benefits of trying to find that dedicated or specialty company, because you'll end up doing some freight that goes to the same place a few times in a week or a few times in a month, and you'll get to know people on the road. Like I run a pretty dedicated route occasionally, so maybe 1 to 2 weeks I go the same route. So I get to know people on the road. People remember me, and that helps a lot with staying in the trucking and keeping yourself cool out here. And especially when you guys are married, because you're going to be around each other all the time. So you're going to get sick of talking to each other all the time. You know, you're going to want a break. And both of you need to have a Facebook and a Twitter. Not just your wife, but both of you guys, you need to master technology, because you need to find a hobby out here. And, you know, if you don't find a hobby out here, you guys will go crazy. All right, I mean, that's a lot of time in a semi truck, man. So I'm not saying I don't feel bad about it. I don't think people shouldn't do it. I just think you gotta have the right relationship. You gotta be tight. You gotta be a tight relationship together down to the end. You know. All right, guys, that's truckdriver101.com. Sorry for making it so long, but hopefully you got all that. Bye.